Okay, here's a little issue we need to talk about real quick. As you can see, I've got an eye bolt installed in the upright of the subassembly for the base and the motor plate. This is something I failed to do before I put everything together here. So this was pretty difficult for me to get this drilled and tapped. My drill kind of got a little off kilter when I was running it in the drill press. My hole's a little bigger than what I intended, so I had to kind of force it in there. So make sure before you put this together that you do a little test fit of all your parts like I showed in the very first video or the second video with everything put together. Get your idler arm put on there, get what spring you're going to use and measure it out, because you have to measure out from your idler arm, which goes up on this upright up here, all the way down to here, what the distance is going to be before you drill and tap this hole. So make sure you get that done before you put this together. Okay, we're back. I finished the machining on the idler arm and on the top spacer where the gas shock's going to attach. Paint's drying on those right now, so we're going to go ahead and start assembling the main assembly here. So I'm going to take my upright for the idler arm. I put 2 of the bolts, the 3/8 bolts in there, and then I take these 2 long spacers and I go ahead and I stack them on top. And that's basically going to make up the spacing for the main tool arm pocket. So go ahead and get those put in. I'm just starting with 2 bolts just to get everything kind of on here. Now I would leave these kind of loose because the way I'm seeing this is all these pieces are going to all need to be lined up. They're not necessarily exactly square. So I'm going to keep everything loose as I work on this and get everything put in place first. So then the next process is going to be the large side plates for the actual pockets, and you're going to need all 3 of these for this process. And this is going to take your longer screws, your longer bolts. I start with just 2, and then you're going to want to take and put 1 more on like this, and then this unit goes on like this, just like that, and then the 3rd plate will go on like that. So like I said, I got to cut my bolts down, but that you get the idea there. So go ahead and get all 4 in there. I'm going to leave these off right now because that part's drying, but I can put on the bottom ones here. And those are pretty straightforward. That's going to be your smaller 3-inch long screws, or bolts, excuse me, I keep calling them screws. I know better. And just line everything up. Get all this stuff seems to be staying fine. I don't think you have to worry about it coming apart on you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the washers and start bolting these up a little bit, just snugging them up. And then I've got a piece of 1.5-inch aluminum 6061 that's going to be the basis for my tool arms. I've got that right here. I'm going to utilize this to kind of establish my pockets and then tighten everything down with the use of this to make sure I still slide in and out nice, and we're at a good dimension for the tool arms to work. So I'm going to start just kind of tightening all this stuff down, get this bottom pocket tightened down, and when I come back we'll have the other parts ready to go, and we'll go ahead and we'll get the rest of this set up. Okay guys, as you can see, I got most of the assembly done for the unit itself. I got the spring installed, got the gas shock is just temporarily installed. I told you I was getting this painted, but I stopped from painting this because we still have to do a little fabrication up here for the actual tensioner, or excuse me, tracking wheel holder that's going to fit up here. So I'm just getting ready to start doing that process. It's That's going to be a little nerve-wracking because you got to drill a hole all the way lengthwise through this piece. So I'm going to get set up to do that. I'm going to go ahead and post on YouTube on the comments the part numbers, as well as I'll try to get the link in there for the blade form where I found this setup, who turned me on to that. So as you can see, I've got a pretty good amount of force it's going to take to move this idler arm, and I'll have a little dampening here with a 20-pound spring and a 20-pound shock system. I used the tooling arm, my 1.5-inch aluminum tooling arm, to set my pockets. I did get a little tight on this one, so one of the tricks I used was just a good old fabricator's trick of just a piece of playing card. So I lined some pieces of playing card in up between the spacers here, and that gave me enough just to free it up enough to get that to slide nice. I still have to change these bolts out. They're a little long for my purposes. I do have the handles installed for the tooling arms. They seem to be working good. I've locked this in here several times. So I know I said I was going to try to make this in 4 parts, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here today. We'll make this the end of part 3, and in part 4 we'll go over finishing up the arm. I did get all my wheels ordered. I'll talk about that in the next part. Like I said earlier, I've got my motor. I'm still waiting for the VFD controller. So we'll go over the motor and everything in the next 2 episodes, and hopefully we get this finished up, and hopefully it runs good when we're all done. I haven't kept up with my total on cost. Just rough in my head. I'm telling you, I'm probably not saving as much as I thought, because I am kind of going a little high end on some of the parts. You can probably cut a little bit of the money down, but before you embark on this, you may want to really look hard at maybe just a complete KMG or another unit out there. But I have been enjoying building this and enjoying having you guys come along on this little journey. So we'll see you next time. Thanks.